Good morning. I've just woken up and I decided why not record a voiceover for a video? Because that's definitely a good idea that will definitely not lead to any regrets or possible lowering of the quality of the video overall. Okay, so to begin with, I would like to say that I started this drawing a little under a year ago. And I think what's interesting about recording a time lapse that took almost a year to make is that I get to notice the significant changes in how I sketch and paint and so on. And it kind of shocked me how bad this drawing was to begin with. Even by my own standards, I think that this started out a little weird looking. The eyes are messed up, the head shape's messed up. Between the beginning and the end of the drawing, there are almost completely different pictures and styles, which is an interesting thing to look at considering everything and how long it took to produce this. Now what this is actually is it's a gift for my lovely internet friend Glitch Royal, who I will link in the description, her art. She is a nice, lovely young lady who I like to make fun of how bad she is at League of Legends. But this is supposed to be her character Beatrice, although I'm afraid I kind of this is probably another problem with taking a year to do something so simple, but I kind of completely misread the reference. The hair is a completely different color from the reference. Also, I messed up the necklace, and I completely forgot the gloves. I also made the shorts a completely different type of material than what they were supposed to be, so it was supposed to be a gift, but I kind of failed on that front too. Although Glitch said she still liked it, but either way, I think I could have done better in the long run. And moral of the story, though, do not take more than a couple months to work on something if you can avoid it, because otherwise you're going to have a work in progress folder full of year-old things. Oh wait, haha, that's me! Wow. But another fun thing to note about this drawing is that since the beginning of it, I've kind of changed a lot of my philosophies on art as well. Lately I've been under the impression of, okay, where am I and where would I like to be? And I've been thinking about it a lot more because for me it used to just be, well, I'm not horribly concerned. I think I'm just going to get better along the way, which I feel like everyone does, of course, but what's the difference? There's a major difference between getting better along the way of enjoying drawing and trying to make yourself better in a certain amount of time. So then I sort of had to assess, okay, what necessarily do I have to do to improve rather than just passively watch myself grow? And I think the major difference between those things is actively figuring out more and more what is wrong with my stuff and trying to approach it head on rather than just going, okay, yeah, I suck at hands, but I'll probably pay attention to it better in the future versus, oh, I suck at hands, I should probably go do some studies and some practices and look at my own hand and crack my hand open and see what's inside, you know, the normal artist things in order to grow and improve. And I've also taken to jokingly use this phrase, but seriously, the phrase of "get good" has been my personal motto in the past couple of months. I don't know why, but just for some reason, the stupid Dark Souls meme has become my personal artistic motivator. But at the end of the day, I suppose whatever works for someone is whatever works for them. I've also been trying to figure out lately why I've been failing to create more videos, and I think the main reason is I start the drawing, and then because I have to record all of the footage of it, that it just demotivates me from working on that particular drawing. So pretty much the only other video that I have in progress at the moment is something I probably started around the same time as the beginning of this, and that tells you how old most of the stuff that I record usually is, because I guess I just put it off so much that, what do you know, years pass by, I'm completely different art style, completely different shading style, completely different sketching methods. Woohoo! Wow, I basically have to start over. So maybe I should just start forcing myself to rush. Not necessarily rush, because that sounds bad, but force myself to do a faster, possibly smaller drawing. Because I've been trying to do more half bodies when it comes to recording videos, and in general, but I suppose if I just want to put my thoughts down or get a video out for something, I suppose a portrait would work just fine. Although portraits can be boring. As someone who draws a lot of portraits, I can admit portraits can be boring sometimes. Just nothing but portraits. It can be a little boring. I just want to get good, and if I could just keep forcing myself to do portraits, then that's not gonna be good. I'm gonna get bad. I have to force myself to step out of my comfort zones, and that's really the only way that I can ever improve. I've been wanting to do fantasy illustration and all that, but obviously I don't think I'm anywhere near where I want to be yet, but if I just keep actively trying to force myself to try new things, I'm sure I'll get there faster than at the rate of just going, I'd like to do this someday, but portraits, yes. Oh yeah, speaking of oh yes, I probably should actually talk more about the process of the drawing. But that's, like I said, that's kind of difficult because it was started over a year ago. And most of this time lapse is just me fixing the janky, broken, nasty anatomy and trying to make something coherent out of it that's not completely an abomination of nature and God. But the main thing that I struggled with on this picture was that I didn't realize that a sketch could mess me up that bad, because usually I'm not very reliant on sketches. But because I was just working with such an old, bad drawing, that as I was trying to fix it, I just realized, okay, this is progressively getting better, but what I was starting from was basically just nothing. I was starting from muck and mud that I had to shape into something that sort of resembled possibly a character. And as I go on throughout this video, I just realize, wow, imagine how easy and faster this would be going if the sketch was actually okay. So, moral of the story, everyone, do not rush your sketches unless you can make up for it very quickly. I don't know. It's just the original sketch of this video was so messed up anatomically that it took months to finish as a result. Not literal months, mind you. The entire time of this video overall is 6 hours, but it's just me working on and off this drawing for 1 year to accumulate 6 hours. And nowadays, I think something like this, especially the scale and scope of it, would probably only take me half the time, especially if the original sketch was actually good to work. As you can see, the liquefy tool was thoroughly abused in trying to recover this in whatever way that I could. And I redid the face and the arms and the chest. I redid pretty much everything in this, very gradually trying to fix it over the long course of those months, hoping that something would come out of it. Also, thinking about it now, another reason that I probably have stopped making videos as much is that I've been streaming a bunch, because I feel like streaming forces me to get my work done better, because it's like, if someone's watching and I can't run off and go watch anime or something, then I probably am gonna work harder on it, and I usually do. Like, if I have a big picture that just requires a lot of rendering that I don't have the attention span for, then I'll stream, and that, because I stream so much, that's probably another reason why I don't bother setting up OBS to record anymore. Another fascinating thing about art, though, is that you see your presence develop, and what I mean by that is, like, you start off, I know how on DeviantArt, this is hard to explain in a way that may be understandable or concise to anyone but myself, but I feel like you go from starting out on DeviantArt going, haha, no one shall see what I create because there are many people on DeviantArt who are much better than I, and I will not receive any validation or recognition for my work, and that's okay because I'm happy making it myself. And then it goes from like that to being like, oh, it seems people accidentally discovered that my art, that they want to recognize and discover my art. That's strange. And then it goes from like, oh, it seems I've accidentally gotten 100 followers to, oh dear, it seems I've accidentally gotten 1,000 followers. But I don't mean on DeviantArt specifically because I don't have 1,000 followers on DeviantArt. But that's what I mean, is like, the sort of unreal feeling that you don't expect when it comes to any sort of recognition on your art, especially when starting out. Like, lots of people probably don't expect that they're going to get any sort of, like, they're just like, I'm gonna do this for fun. And if someone happens to get some sort of popularity out of it, then that's completely coincidental to the creation of the art for enjoyment. And because of that, it still somehow possibly gets some sort of recognition, and then it doesn't feel real. It's like, I don't feel like I've earned this, and I don't know if that's like the imposter syndrome thing, or if it's just a normal experience by anyone in the creative fields at all, of like, okay, I feel like I went from 0 to 60 in very quickly. Also, I greatly apologize if this video or my thoughts seem on it very, very messy, because I had all these things in my head and I never wrote them down, and I think that's the issue, is there was some stuff that I wanted to discuss, but I sort of failed to remember to write them down, and as such I'm sort of scrambling at the corners of my mind trying to find wherever those thoughts lie and what residuals of them remain. I'm hoping though that, much like art, if I just keep throwing it against the wall, these videos, someday I will be able to make a concise and understandable voiceover where I don't stutter, where look, I just stuttered, where I figure out exactly what I'm trying to say and am able to convey it in a way that's not rambling so much as trying to get a point across. Now, we're getting to the point in the video where this is all, I think from here onward, these are all the edits that were made in like the past week rather than just a few months ago, to show the significant differences overall of what I started with versus where I am now, and I think it's significantly better. It's possibly worse in some ways, and that's okay, because overall I'm still happier with it than when I started. Another unfortunate thing about art though is that it's very, of course this is obvious thing to discuss, but it's just very difficult finding a balance between life and art. Like, how much time do you spend with your family versus how much time you spend on your passion versus how much time you spend doing things that need to be done but you may not necessarily want to do them. Like, I mean, I'm a college student, right? And I need to figure out per day, like, okay, what's the acceptable amount of hours to spend working on schoolwork versus working on artwork? And I think I successfully found it in the sense that, okay, it's turned in and I tried my best. That is the amount. And then it's like, wait, maybe I should be spending more. Maybe I should cut out more time, more art time in order to make sure that I work harder. But then at the same time, it's like, okay, am I spending a lot of time at school and am I getting worse at art because of it? And it's difficult to find that balance, especially, so my family likes to go out a lot, go to towns and such, and I find, like, yeah, I would love to go, but at the same time I love art, and if I just always constantly go, then I will never ever have time. Well, of course I'd still have time. There's lots of time. There's plenty of time. There's time all over. And I'm over-exaggerating, but I'm just making broad generalizations for the sake of discussion. So I'm just thinking, okay, if I just keep going everywhere, then I won't be able to work on things that I love and make me happy. And it's difficult finding that balance of, okay, I would like to hang out with my family today, or I would prefer to work on my art today, or I would prefer to make up homework today, or stuff like that. And I figure that art is probably one of my lower priorities technically, but at the same time, it's the thing that makes me happiest, I feel. And as such, I would like to dedicate more time to it, even though I probably shouldn't. And it's the whole wants versus needs debate where I struggle the most. And I'm probably bad at setting my priorities straight, but honestly, if I didn't work on art as much as I do, I'd probably be very, very unhappy because it's, like I said, it's what makes me happiest. I may not even be that excellent or great at it, but you know what? As long as I'm doing it, I'm fine. I got it good. Can't complain there. Ultimately, though, I wish I could do my 100% in everything I do, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm mentally or physically capable of that, of like doing 100% in school, 100% in art. I have to distribute it. Like, okay, how about we distribute 40% to school, 20% to art, and then the other 40% to relationships and family. And that's sort of just a difficult thing. I don't know. I wish there were 7 of me. I wish I could clone myself 7 times over until one, like, okay, you do the homework. Okay, you develop friendships and so on. And then you get good at hands. And then you figure out how to make eyes not look like bulbous monstrosities. And then, like, I could just take all those clones and meld them together to make one being again whenever I feel like. That would be just the most easiness. That would be great if such a thing existed, but it doesn't. It doesn't, and I have to deal with what I am given, which is one measly physical mortal form. And I gotta make the best of it. Also, speaking of mortal, gosh dang, are there gonna be so many artists in the future when they're like, probably even in their 40s, who have early onset arthritis and are just going to be basically in a hand cast for days on end. That's what I have to do, actually. I have to put my hand in a splint from time to time for a few days in order to keep the pains, the good old carpal tunnel trademark pains away. But that's just, it's decaying my body. Art is eating my body, and I can't do anything about it. Of course, though, I say that, but there are exercises and ways to keep your wrists strong despite the fact that they're being overused. So, I suppose that's just me complaining rather than doing anything about it. Which is probably an analogy for my entire life. Hey look, it's finished! It looks a lot better than it started. Yay! Hopefully you got some semblance of enjoyment out of this video. I'm sorry I rambled. I'm sorry that rambling is my only way of production. Please have a good day. Thank you for watching.